about it and get your questions answered. Ready? Hold on to your hat. Here we go. Here's the one-click windage rule. Range in hundreds of yards times wind velocity in miles per hour divided by 10 equals the number of clicks of wind allowance you've got to take for 3 and 9 o'clock winds. Now, don't let that scare you. It's not as tough as it sounds. For instance, when it says the range in hundreds of yards, all it means is that you throw the 2 zeros away. When your range is 300, you'll call it a 3, 500, a 5, 200, a 2, and so on. The wind in miles per hour is what we've just been talking about. It'll turn out to be some perfectly harmless number like 8, or 12, or 18, or 20. So, relax. That whole business, the range in hundreds of yards times the velocity of the wind in miles per hour, is going to turn out to be easier than the arithmetic you did in school when you were 10 years old. It'll be about as hard as multiplying 3 times 15. You know your range. Say it's 500 yards. Well, that's 5. Your wind's from 3 o'clock. You estimated speed, say 8 miles an hour. So you've got to multiply 5 times 8. It's as tough as that. 5 times 8 is 40. And that's the first half of this problem. Now, we've got to divide by 10. If you've ever been exposed to simple decimals, you know how hard that is. You point off one place from the right. If the last digit happens to be a 0, just chuck it away. And there's your problem. You multiplied 5 for 500 yards times 8 for 8 miles per hour. And you got 40. Now, we have to divide by 10. In other words, we have to knock off that last 0. And the answer was 4. So 4 is the number of clicks of wind allowance you must take. Now, we've been talking about 3 and 9 o'clock winds. Think of your clock again. 3 and 9 o'clock winds hit the bullet directly from the side. What about 2, 4, 8, and 10 o'clock winds? That is, the winds within 1 hour on each side of 3 and 9 o'clock. These winds are not directly from one side or the other, but they're so close you don't bother about the differences. In other words, the rule holds for all winds that are generally from the side. You make no allowance at all for 6 and 12 o'clock winds, because they do not blow the bullet out of line. So what winds does that leave us? It leaves 1 and 5 and 7 and 11 o'clock winds, which are 2 hours away from 3 and 9 o'clock. They strike the bullet only a glancing blow and affect it only about half as much. So for them, you take half as many clicks of windage. Here it is, all in one rule. Range in hundreds of yards times wind velocity in miles per hour divided by 10 equals the number of clicks of windage correction. Use full correction for 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, and 10 o'clock winds. Use 1/2 of that correction for 1, 5, 7, and 11 o'clock winds. Use no correction for 6 and 12 o'clock winds. And there it is. Now I'll do one more problem for you. Your range is 300 yards. Your wind is coming from 8 o'clock. And you estimated speed to be 12 miles an hour. That's 3 to begin with. Times 12 equals 36. Divided by 10, 3 6/10. Am I in trouble? I can't take 6/10 of a click. What am I going to do? I'm going to take 4 clicks. That's the rule. 1 full click for any fraction you have left over in figuring. If your answer were 2 2/10, you take 3 clicks. If it were 5 8/10, you take 6. You take 1 full click for any fraction left over. All right. Let's see if you can work it out. Range 200 yards. Your wind's a 9 o'clock wind and an estimated speed of 9 miles per hour. Now, how are you going to work out the number of clicks of windage? I'll write it down. You tell me what to do. Range 200. What shall I put down? Tobin?
2, sir.
Right. Your wind's from 9 o'clock. You estimated speed at 9 miles per hour. What do I put down?
2 times 9, sir. That's 18.
Right. How many clicks do you take?
18 divided by 10, that's 1 8/10, sir.
Right. Now, how many clicks?
2 clicks, sir. Left windage.
Good. Two clicks left because a 9 o'clock wind is from the left. Now, suppose the wind has been from 7 o'clock instead of 9. Which windage would you take? Left or right? Macmillan.
Left, sir. 7's on the left.
Correct. Tobin took 2 clicks for a 9 o'clock wind. What would you take for a 7 o'clock wind?
1 click, sir. Because 7's is 2 hours away from 9. So you take only half as much.
Good. Do you all see that? Now, here's another. Your range is 500 yards. Your wind's from 1 o'clock. And your estimated speed is 12 miles an hour. Peters.
5 times 12, sir, 60.
Good. You're way ahead of me. Then what?
Divide 60 by 10, throw away the 0, gives us 6. But a 1 o'clock wind takes only 1/2 the number of clicks. So it's 3 clicks.
Good. Which windage?
Right windage, sir.
That's right. You've got it.
I used to teach mathematics, sir.
Well, it doesn't take a professor to do this simple figuring. Now, you're on a range 300 yards. Your wind's from 4 o'clock. Speed 15. Taranetti.
Sir, that's 3 times 15, that's 45, sir.
Right. 3 times 15 is 45. Now what?
Then you divide by 10, sir. That makes 4.5.
Good. How many clicks of windage?
Well, like you said, sir, a guy can't take a half a click, so they'd make 5 clicks, sir.
Good again. Five clicks of which windage?
Right, sir.
Right is right. Now, you men seem to have this pretty straight. How about it? Any questions? Good. Only be sure to remember all this. If any questions bother you, ask them. Now we'll cover all the ground we've gone over so far. We started out with elevation. We saw that when you raise your rear sight, you have to tilt your rifle to line up properly on the target. We saw that 1 click of elevation moves the strike of your bullet on the target 1 inch for each 100 yards of range. Then we went to windage. We saw that when you move your rear sight to one side or the other, you have to angle your rifle off to the side to line up on the target. We saw that 1 click of windage moves the strike of the bullet 1 inch right or left for each 100 yards of range. We went into designating wind directions by the clock. The wind is called by the hour it comes from. I showed you the tricks of estimating your wind speed. Throw some light substance into the air and point your arm at the spot where it falls. Then figure the angle between your arm and your body. And that angle, divided by 4, is your wind speed in miles per hour. Or, divide the angle into 5 equal parts. And say each part, as your arm is raised, represents 5 miles an hour wind speed. And that gave you the information you need to calculate your windage. Then, we took the formula here, the 1-click windage rule, and saw how it worked. I don't mind telling you that I'm mighty pleased about the way you followed it all. Elevation and windage are very important things for a rifleman to understand. But what's just as important is the fact that you didn't lose your heads. Men who keep their heads are the kind of soldiers who are making Tojo and Hitler sorry they started this fight.